to the Everyday Sewist. My name is Stephanie and I am here today with another video full of finishes and shop hopping and tips, techniques, all kinds of good stuff. So I hope that you will join me. If you're new, I really appreciate you coming in and taking a look at what I'm doing. And if you're returning, I really appreciate that you've taken the time to come back and see what's been going on. So I'd like to say thank you to all my new subscribers over the last few weeks. That would be Ruthie, Two Tall Stitchers, Christine, ND Quilter, Linda, Kathy, Jackie, Norma, Cheryl, Karen, thank you all so much for joining me and subscribing, and I hope you have a good time watching. Okay, so the first thing that I wanted to share with you today is my old finish. It is a finish from 2019, and it was the cover video for today's episode. This is episode 8. So I'm just getting started on this YouTube journey and hoping that you'll have a lot of fun along with me on that. So this quilt started out as a challenge quilt for the Rainbow Scrap Challenge, and it's held every year, starts in January. And the basic idea is that you pick a color each month, or the organizer has picked a color for us to work through our scraps with each month. And so over the course of the year, you will make the same block in different colors. So for my quilt, I chose to do this Scrappy Irish Chain. And this is a free pattern from Melissa Corey. And her website is happyquiltingmelissa.com. So if you go to her website, type in Scrappy Irish Chain or Super Scrappy Irish Chain, you will see her free tutorial for how to make the block. So for my quilt, it ended up being about 80 by 90, little more than 90 something. And I made 56 blocks. I don't remember, since this was from 2019, I don't really remember if I tried to make an equal number of blocks each month or not, but the whole setting of it is scrappy as well, so you can arrange however many blocks you have in whatever way works for you. And when I got this quilt out today, I thought, oh, I like this so much. It really needs to really need to make it again. And since I have a niece that loves all things Irish, I think maybe I should make another one just in greens for her. I bet she'd really like that. So I hope you enjoy looking at this one. This was a really fun one to make. I can tell you really quickly, it is a 10-inch block. And it's made with 2.5-inch squares and strips. And I have sashing in between each block, also cut at 2.5 inches, and cornerstones cut at 2.5 inches. So if you are fairly new, you may not know what cornerstones and sashing are. So let me see if I can kind of isolate that block for you a little bit and help you see what a block is and what the sashing is. So the block, this is a block right here. These are the corners of the block, and the sashing strip goes on all 4 sides of the block, and the cornerstones then are all of these pieces that go in between each block. So if this is one block and you have a sashing and cornerstones, here's your next block, again with sashing and cornerstones, always a thread, and so on and so forth. And when you assemble the quilt, I usually do it in rows. And so as I sew this row together, I would start on the left side, and I start sewing with I sew a sashing strip to my block, a sashing strip to the block, a sashing strip to the block, all the way across. And that is one row. The other row is a row of just sashing and cornerstones. So if I start over here, I sew a cornerstone to a sashing, to a cornerstone, to a sashing, to a cornerstone, to a sashing, and I work all the way across. When I sew rows together, I would sew this row of sashing to the row of blocks and repeat that. And I do have a row of sashing at the very top, which may be out of the picture, and the sashing goes all the way to the very edge of the quilt. And while I'm standing up, you have to see my new shirt that I got when I was on shop hopping. So I'm always looking for those fun t-shirts. So look for another one next time, because I did get another one, and if I get to go shop hopping some more, I will keep my eyes open for more fun shirts. So that is my older finish, and not a difficult block to put together. And as you can see, you could do it super scrappy as I did, or you could do it all in one color like I was suggesting. I might do it all in greens, or I bet you could color it out with red, white, and blue, or any other combination. I also think it'd be gorgeous if I did it in a dark background with very light squares or bright squares. But for me, this one was very summery looking, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. It has approximately 1,300 pieces in it, and I quilted it with a really cute swirly pattern, and I can put the name of the pattern in the description box. Anytime I reference something that I'm working on, I will try to put in pattern names, fabric names of things, any other references that I have, I'll try to put those into the description box for you. If I forget or I haven't found it, go ahead and leave a comment and I'll try to get back to it. So that is my old finish for this episode. And now I'm going to change things up a little bit and get the next quilt up there for you to see. So the next thing I wanted to share with you is my most recent finish. And I have posted Instagram and I talked about it on some of my earlier videos, but this was such an immense project that I thought that it deserved a little bit more of its own time on this video. So I thought I'd go into a little bit more detail about it with you. So this quilt started in 2017 with a sew-along run by Gnome Angel. Gnome Angel is in Australia. And I followed along quite well with the sew-along, completing all of the units. I'd say I got about halfway to 2/3 before I ended up having to slow down, drop out, whatever you want to call it. I just didn't carry on through the whole thing. But I had a really good pile of blocks. There's 167 different blocks in this quilt. And so I think I probably had close to 100 of them when I stopped. Well, this is the book that it's from, Long Time Gone. And it was supposed to finish at about 66 by 67, so roughly a square quilt. And so I decided that I wanted to make it just a little bit bigger or longer. I didn't need it wider, but I would like to have it a little bit longer than that. So that's, to me, where part of the interesting part of the story comes in. So what I did is, this quilt is basically done in sections. And let me see if I can find a diagram in here that would show you. Okay. So for instance, this is a section of the quilt, all right? And I wanted to, what I did is when I hung this up, I hung it up upside down because the top half of the quilt I did pretty much just as she said. But it was the bottom half where I decided that I wanted to add my length in that way. So one of the things I did is I dug through my bin of orphan blocks, blocks that didn't have a home, test blocks, blocks I had picked up somewhere. And I'll point out a couple of those to you because by the time I got down to doing this second half of the quilt, I really didn't want to make any more blocks. I didn't think I needed to make any more blocks to finish it out. So I dug into my bin of blocks that were spares from other projects. And so let's see. So these are 4 of them right here. These 4 were not, had been made previously. All of these blocks had been made previously and didn't have a home. But look how nicely they fit in with the rest of the quilt. This block, I love this block. This was one that I purchased somewhere along the way. I'm guessing maybe in Shipshewana when I went to a retreat there. I'm really not sure. But I did not make this block, but I love the way it looks in this. This is another orphan block right here that I hadn't had a home for. So when I laid all these out, I ended up having to do a little bit of math to figure out how to fit them into a similar size section. So that was how I approached it. I said, okay, this is my next section. You see the gray sashing right in here? That's supposed to be a section, and I wanted it to come out to be the same size as what she had instructed. So I figured out where I needed to have an extra sashing piece, or I needed to make these little flying geese units. I think that's about the only thing I actually made for these. These had already been made earlier in the sew-along. And so I ended up being able to finish out this section. This was another orphan block, and so were these. And so when I wanted to add length to the quilt, this section ended up being, I think this was a 10-inch block. So I was shooting for adding 10 inches in length to my quilt. And so this section was already done, and I ended up needing to make up the difference in the diagram, make up the difference, because she would have had us do something right along here. And then that would have been the bottom of the quilt right here. And so by making it a little bit bigger, I took the total length here, or total amount that I needed, and I just filled it in and made up sections that I thought would work to fill that out. So I was really happy with that, but it was still fairly small for something to nap under or have her on the couch. So when I went to adding the borders, I made my borders just a little bit wider than what she had suggested doing, and that just gave me enough length and width. So if you like to do samplers, or if you collect sampler blocks, make sampler quilts, have extra blocks, it can be challenging, but it can be really fun, and there are so many different layouts there that are available for free. Of course, this one's not free, but there are a lot of people, for instance, Pat Sloan does a lot of sampler quilts, runs a lot of sew-alongs on her YouTube channel, and her sew-alongs are always free. She always has diagrams as to how she lays out those quilts. And so if you go back into her archives, you will see a lot of really nice layouts for different size blocks. So if you have a pile of blocks, or if you like to collect piles of blocks from antique shops or otherwise, you might like to give this a try and see if you can find a layout that's already kind of working for you for your size blocks, and then you can try inserting your blocks into their layout and give that a go. So the other thing about this small thing about this quilt, I tried a bamboo batting. It's a 50-50 blend, bamboo and cotton, made by Brewer Company, and I did like it. It was nice to work with as a long armor. It's been too darn hot to use a quilt actually these last couple of weeks, but it has a nice feel to it. This quilt has not been washed yet. I think, as usual, when it gets washed, it gets softened up a little bit, and I think it'll be actually pretty warm and will be good for many months of the year. So I was pleased with that batting. I think it's not a matter of how much it costs, it's whether you like the drape of it. So I think the cost was similar to other battings, is what I want to say. It's not that it was less expensive or more expensive, but I do think this has a really nice weight to it, and I would use it again. On the back of the quilt, I used a really fun extra wide backing. Of course, I didn't really need 3 yards in length, so I have a good chunk of it left over that I can use for the backing of another quilt. But I think the colors really pulled out everything really nicely. And then lastly, the quilting pattern that I chose for this has just some swirls and leaves and flowers. It's pretty lightly quilted, and that's okay too. I didn't think that I wanted anything too dense for the quilting because the piecing is already so intense. I didn't need to double up and have lots and lots of tiny quilting. So I chose a pattern that was fairly open or had quite a bit of open spaces to it. So I am really happy with the way this turned out. I have many more samplers on my list to make because I really do enjoy making all kinds of different blocks. And I hope you like my little show and tell of this. I wanted to share a few things with you that I found at the shop hop this past month. And I guess I should say the name of it is the All Indiana Shop Hop. And it's going on in a couple of other states right now. It's pretty much state by state or region by region. I talked about it a little bit in the past video. But the fun thing is that I went to 53 stores over the past 4 weeks and just had such a blast doing that. And one of my friends, Donita, asked what kind of notions I got. So I thought I would take a couple of minutes in this episode to show you some of the things that I got in case you'd like to check them out too, and you might have fun with it also. So in no particular order, I bought myself a new seam ripper. This one, I really like this seam ripper. I have another one just like it, and since I can work at different stations in my room and on the go, I thought it'd be nice to have another one of these. It's by Seam Fix, and the thing that I like about it is that it has these rubber tip at the end, which helps you to, when you rub that across your fabric where you've just taken out those threads, it will help you remove those leftover threads a lot more easily. So it's a nice sharp one, and it has a tip at each end, and I like the way they fit in my hand, and I like being able to have these help me remove all those loose threads. I also have several pairs of these little snips, these little sewing scissors. So I got another one because they were really cute, and these are by Boheen. Again, I can always use another one in a travel pack. I bought another little pair of scissors, which I just thought were so adorable. I couldn't pass them up. And these, they come in this, they have this little cover that covers the end there, and just good for snipping threads. So I can keep this one even in my binding bag, and because it has or any kind of hand stitching bag, I can make sure that I don't poke myself like I did here. So another couple new little pairs of scissors. The next thing I bought, which I thought would be really interesting to have, is this magnifying glass, and it's 3D. It also has a ruler on it, and what I like about this is that sometimes on some of the patterns that I buy, I find that the writing is a little bit small. So for instance, see this package here, if I really wanted to read what was on this package, I definitely would need to make this bigger. So with this magnifying glass, I can more easily read what different patterns and packages say. So the next thing I got is I got some self-threading needles. I use these all the time. I use them specifically for burying threads as a long arm quilter. If I stop in the middle of a row, I will bury the threads right away. And these self-threading needles are really great for that. It has a notch at the very top of the needle. I don't know if you can see that. So that notch, you pull your threads into that, and it pulls it into the eye of the needle, and then off you go. And really nice for burying threads, especially when you have a lot of them, or if you're using multiple strands. So this one does say it's assorted sizes. I had trouble finding these. They were not readily available at all the stores. So if I see them again, I'll probably pick up another package of them just to make sure that I always have them. So that's a very practical thing that I really like. The next thing I bought was I bought these bobbin boats. And this one is called the bigger bobbin boat. Again, as a long armor, I have a different size bobbin than you do, probably for your domestic machines. And so if you like the idea of this, these hold about 10 bobbins, I think it was. And I bought several of them. If you like this kind of a thing, make sure that you get the one that fits your size bobbin that you use on your machine. So this one is made for long arm bobbins, and if you'd like that, then pick it up and try them. They come in all different colors. It's not exactly the cheapest option. I'd say this is a better option if you have lots and lots of bobbins. This is much less expensive. This is called the Bobbin Saver. So this is the one that I use for I have one for each of my machines, or any machine that carries a different size bobbin. So these are only my Bernina bobbins. And I have another one for Janome bobbins so that I can keep them separate by machine. So just to give you an idea, let's see if I can stack these up. Can you see that? Can you see the difference in size in that? So this is a Bernina bobbin, and this is a long arm bobbin. If you like those, get those for the right size. This one holds an awful lot of bobbins. It also, I think you can get a matching size magnetic pin cushion that fits in the center of that donut. And so I used both of those. I also got two of these really cool technique sheets for using the Tucker rulers. So I have a couple of the Tucker, Deb Tucker rulers. This one's called a V block, and this one is called the wing clipper. Now, I have not used the V block very much yet, but I have used the wing clipper. I use that one all the time for making flying geese. So let's see if I can do this like this. So depending on what size flying geese you make, it has those sizes at the top and the bottom and lets you line up your geese well and have a really nice trim for them. But these technique sheets that I bought will help you remember how to use the ruler, and give you ideas for how to make different blocks with different units that you can use to put into your quilts. So for instance, this one's on the shaded 4 patch, and at the bottom of it, it shows you all these different blocks that you can make or that would have that unit in it. So I thought that would be a really nice way for me to try to get some more use out of my rulers. The other rule, I did buy one ruler. I have an awful lot of rulers, but I've been hearing really good things about these Quilter Select rulers. And so this one is 12 by 6. It has a coating on the back of it so that it doesn't slip and slide. And lately it seems like I've been having some issues with my ruler sliding on the fabric, and so my cut isn't as doesn't come out as precisely as I would like. So I thought that since my 6 by 12 ruler is the one that I've had since I started quilting 20 plus years ago, I thought it was time to get a new one. So I thought I would give this ruler a try. I'd say at the moment I do like it. I've used it a bit for trimming up things and cutting individual pieces, and so far so good. It doesn't slip. It does what it says it does. So I'm happy with that. And I suppose as I need to replace worn out rulers, I would consider getting another one of those. So let's see, the next thing, I got some supplies for making a couple of different types of little bags and pouches. And so one of the ones I got was for this retreat bag, which I thought looked really cute. This is a free pattern from Emmeline Bags. But what you do need is you need these stays, these wire frames that go inside to help keep it up. I don't know, I haven't made it yet, but I'm hoping to. So I got a couple of the frames to make those, and the pattern also calls for some SF 101. So again, a very practical purchase. It also called for some, what is this one called? This is like a kind of a thick piece to give it some body. It's not, this one is not the fusible one. I did get some of the fusible as well. So those are for making some bags and pouches, things that I'd like to try. And so I'm pretty excited about that. Hopefully sometime soon I'll get to making a couple of those and have those to show you. Let's see, I also got some vintage kite paper. And it says that it's really good for charm packs, and it makes a 6-inch block. So I have not used this particular type before, but when you open up the page, this is what each page looks like. And I think I will figure it out as I go, but I'm sure there's some instructions on the front here. I have done foundation. Oh yeah, here we go. So it comes with the instructions on how to do the foundation piecing. And I have a ton of charm packs to use. So I thought I would give those a try. And then I also have some layer cakes that have been sitting for a long while. And I'd always wanted to try one of these cake mix recipes. So I bought a couple of these packages, and let's see, let me open that up. And so when I went to, I got this one at Stitch and Time Fabrics, and they had a nice little demo on these, so that made me want to jump in and try it out. Again, each page has, each page will look like this, and it gives you ideas as to which blocks you can make with it. You layer two 10-inch squares, and I think you put them right sides together. Let's see, and you pin the paper into place, but then it tells you where to start your stitching and where to stop your stitching. So you start it there, and then it tells you the directions to stitch in order to do each piece. So I think that'll be a really fun thing to try, and if it helps me to use up a couple of my layer cakes, I'll be really happy with that. And I think it'll be a fun thing to try. And one of the other little notions I bought is I kept seeing these little notepads everywhere, and these are by Moda Fabrics. And it has a metallic clasp to keep it together. And this one was just so beautiful. I love the scissors on there, and I like the whole image on that. So I bought myself, and then on the inside has this, and it has, 75 pages worth of notes, and it will keep your notes, your note paper together and nice and neat for in your purse. So again, I thought this was really beautiful, and they weren't very expensive, so I treated myself to that fun little notion. So those are some of the things that I picked up that I think I'll be using really, really soon. I also bought a batting that I've already used, and I'll show that to you in the next quilt, or I'll show you the results of that. So I've already used a couple of those things. And I think all of these are going to be get used up in the near future. So it was very fun shopping. So I have a few more things to share with you today. These are my works in progress, that never-ending list of things that I have that I'm working on. So the first couple are my old whips that I keep working on little at a time. I have a shibori project that I have 7 rows done. I still need a couple more rows. I'm adjusting some, so I don't really have anything new to show you except to tell you that I'm working on it. My bow tie blocks that I was working on last time, the blocks are all done, and if I could get that shibori project off my design wall, I would be able to start laying those blocks out and putting those together. So hopefully I'll get to that in the next couple of weeks. I am still working on my temperature quilt. That is up to date. I almost forgot it there for a week or so when I was shop hopping, but I got caught back up again, and those are, with these hot days, I'm getting into some new colors, so that's kind of fun. And the star quilt that I was working on last time is quilted, but the binding's not done. So by next time I should have the binding done, and that will probably be the next one that I show you as a finish. So exciting things that I picked up at the shop hop, the little kits and patterns that I loved so much. I've gotten some of those to be where it's a finished top. So let me show you how those are looking, because I think they're really cute, and I'm really happy that I had some fun little projects to work on. So the first one is this summer runner pattern, and this is how the top turned out. It was made with a charm pack called Star Spangled. I think it was by, oh, I don't know the name. I'll have to put it in. But I'm pretty sure that the collection was called Star Spangled. So, isn't that cute? So I'm really happy about that, and I will get that quilted up really soon. And I enjoyed making that one so much that I actually found it's made with a charm pack and some background fabric. So since it's made with a charm pack, I think I want to make another one for the fall with this pattern, this bundle that I've had for a really long time. I doubt you could find that anymore, but it's got some really cute fall fabrics in it, and I think that could work up very nicely. So maybe not in July, because we're sure not going to be in fall anytime soon, but I think I'd like to make it again, and I could make one for every season because I think it turned out really cute. And this is the backing that I found for it. So it's going to be all ready to go on the long run very soon. Then I also bought a mini charm pack. The mini charm packs are 2.5-inch squares. The regular charm packs are 5-inch squares. So with this little mini charm pack of, this was from Primitive Gatherings. It's their red and white gatherings. I made this little one. And this is only about 10 by 12 inches. And I didn't have a pattern for it. I bought the pack at the Village Mercantile in Boonville, Indiana. And I don't think there was a pattern with it, with their sample. And I could be wrong. You might have to call the shop and ask them if they had a pattern for this little rail fence. But since I didn't see one, I just figured it out on my own. And I cut each charm square or mini charm in half, vertically or horizontally, not diagonally, but in half, so that you have two bricks, two rectangles. And I paired them up, a red and a white, and there was enough of each to do this many. And so it was a very well balanced charm pack for light and dark. And then I cut my side triangles and corner triangles and put those on. And that just took a couple sessions, but it was really fun one to make. And I could see getting other mini charm packs and doing something like that similar. The next one that I purchased, and I also have a finished top and backing ready to go, is this Woven Wonder runner. And that was super easy. It will finish at about 8 by 37, so it's a skinny runner, which is fine. And let me show you that. And this was a kit from them that I bought. Isn't that cute? And here's the backing that I have picked out from my stash. Got this cute little print. I'll show you these little prints up close. Aren't they cute? So this will get done pretty fast, and I could see making more of those. That was really easy. It used a, what's it called? A quarter square triangle. So it's a little bit different block than you might normally see, but it makes that woven look, which is really cool. So then the fourth one that I finished from my shop hopping was this Happy Holidays topper by Perkins Dry Goods. This one also is done with charm squares. However, I did this one with some fat quarters that I had. So this is mine. And again, I like it so much that I think I would make another one. And I found another really old charm pack that I had. This is from a long time ago, America the Beautiful by Judy Rothermel. And so that one has a very old vintagey feel to it. Lots of stripes and all. So I'll see if I can, if this one will work. I think it will, but I'll do a sample layout of it, and then I'll see if I think that that's worth continuing cutting it up for. So those are some new works in progress to kind of balance out the fact that I have so many old ones to work on, and it's really nice to start something with some fresh new fabric. And it's nice to have some small ones to do after doing the larger, more intense projects. So my plan for July is to finish up, get these little ones quilted, get the shibori one done, and I'll see how far I can get on assembling my bow tie quilt and getting that done. And then I have some small projects. I said in my notions section that I had bought some supplies for making little pouches and bags. And so I'd really, really like to get to doing that. I think I've said that once before, that I'd really like to get to it. So maybe this coming month I will get to it. So that wraps up the works in progress and my plans for July. And my tip of the day is really quite simple. I take 5 minutes at the end of the day, end of my sewing, or even 5 minutes in the morning before I start sewing if things look like a mess, and I pick up and put away. There's nothing that seems like a bigger time waster to me than to look for a tool that I know I have somewhere and it's not in its place. And so I really work at trying to keep my rulers put away, my cutters, my scissors, all my tools need to go back to where they were. And so that when I start sewing that day or that next time, I can get my tools quickly, and I just hate having to search for them. That also goes along with like why I bought an extra seam ripper, because that way I don't have to run back and forth or go to this table or that table to get the seam ripper. There's one here and then there's one there, and they're both in a cubby or a little tray or holder for it. And I just don't like wasting my time looking for things. So I try really hard to pick up at the end of every day and put things back where they are. And 5 minutes is usually all it takes to so that the fabric doesn't start getting piled up too high, or it loses the container that it's supposed to be in. And I just fold stuff up, put it back on the shelf, and then I'm ready to go the next time. So keep up with that, and hopefully you'll have a more enjoyable sewing experience, and you'll be able to find the things that you're looking for. Just a little tidy up all the time, little by little, and it keeps things manageable. So I think that wraps things up for me this time. I do want to put in a short video very soon on how I'm cutting my shibori fabrics, because it's sort of a free-form cutting, and I'm not sure if I'll have that ready for this video or for the next, but be looking for that. I hopefully will have some tips on how I approached some of that curved piecing and freeform sewing. So that's coming up too. Anyway, I hope things are good where you are. I hope that if you're in a heat wave like we are, that your air conditioning didn't go out, that you have enough fans in your house to help keep you cool, or enough iced drinks to help keep you cool. And don't go out there exercising hard and put your health at risk. Just these are the days that I think we need to take it slow and easy if we can, and take care of ourselves. So be good to yourself. Until next time, happy sewing, and thanks for joining me here at the Everyday Sewist. Bye-bye.